Okay, so today we're going to take a look at the M&P and the Glock. And I'm going to point out the 5 things that I think M&P, there could be more, but I'm going to point out 5 things that I really like that the M&P does much better than the Glock. Not that Glock's a bad handgun, but I think there's 5 things that the M&P does better. So stick around and we will go over those 5 things. Okay, so for my examples today, I've got the M&P 9 and I've got the Glock 19. So we're going to start right off the bat with slide serrations. If you look at the M&P and you have those fish scale type serrations on here, they do a great job of really grabbing your skin and your fingers. Your hands actually dig into them. They are incredible for wet, slippery hands. If we look at the Glock, just these vertical cuts that are in there, I mean, they work. They're not totally useless, but they don't compare. You can still use them. They work just fine. People have been using them for years and years and years. But at the end of the day, to see slide serrations, these things are awesome. Next thing people talk about are the grip angle of the Glock being a little bit different. So the M&P uses the 1911 style grip angle. I'm not going to get into the actual angles because I've tried to look at that and it's a mess. Really depends on who's measuring it, where they come from. But at the end of the day, it's the same grip angle that you have on a 1911. Glock is a little slightly more vertical, also a little more blocky in this gun. But when you look at, let's see if we can put them on top of each other and see if we can't line anything up, to see if we can notice anything. But if we line these up a little bit here, the back kind of lines up, but you also have this front where you get a little bit more of a vertical. And a lot of people find, including myself, that the pointing, the natural point of the handgun with the M&P is a lot better with that 1911 style grip angle. And I am surely one of those people that agree with that. Glock is very easy to get to. We're not talking about major changes, but when you actually put it in your hand, you start pointing it, it's a lot better on the M&P. Now sticking with the grip, these right here, these back straps on the M&Ps are so much better than the back straps you get on the Glocks. Now this is a Gen 3, so we're not going to see them on here, but it doesn't look much different on the Gen 4s. You're going to have this back section here where you can place extensions. It's going to fill your grip back, so you're going to get a bit wider of a grip on it, but it doesn't fill out the important part that I think is on the sides. Your grip doesn't fill in here, so you get a little bit longer there, but not on the side of the grip. Whereas with the M&P, it's a wider. So when you replace this is the medium grip. If you want to pull this out, it's very easy to do as well. You just turn the pin, pull up, pop it out, put your new one on back in, put your pin in, and lock it back into place. But when you do that, this is a little bit thicker as well. So if you go to a larger grip backstrap, you're going to fill your hand a lot better. So this is going to create more contact here with the palm of your hand instead of leaving a little bit more of a gap. So it really gets your hand touching more of the grip, which is going to get you better handle on that gun. And to me, it's just a much better design than just extending out the backstrap off the rear of the gun. The fourth thing, it's not a huge difference, but it is something. If we look at the M&P and you look at the distance between your trigger and the front of your trigger guard, you have a much bigger opening here in your trigger guard. Whereas in the Glock, you're a lot smaller. So if you're wearing gloves, you're in a colder climate, things like that, that's going to be more helpful to you. Let's see if we can put them over the top here, just so that you can see. I don't know how well it's going to come through. But you can almost get a look at it. This is a much fuller trigger guard than you have on a Glock, which if you have gloves when you're out, it's just a much better shooting experience, having a little bit extra room in there. My 2 cents, but I think it's a much better design on the M&P. Okay, and lastly, it's going to be magazines. Steel magazines are, for me, the way to go. Glock magazines have been proven, they're reliable, they work very well, but at the end of the day, I want a steel magazine. These are steel inserts inside them, you can see them very well. And you know what? Glock magazines work very well. But at the end of the day, using the steel, if you're going to run over them, drop them, things like that, these are going to hold up much better than a plastic magazine. So that's the fifth one. So the one downside I will say is that you're going to pay more for the steel magazines than you are for the plastic magazines. But at the end of the day, I still like the steel. Okay, so those are the 5 things I think that M&P does better than the Glock. All right, hold up. I forgot the biggest thing that M&P does better than Glock. So this is going to be a 5 plus 1. I forgot the biggest thing and the most important one that I think that M&P does better than Glock, and that is these plastic sights. I don't know why Glock, at the price point you get, that's an whole other thing. Why you still get plastic sights? Are they functional? Yes. But in any type of harsh environment, in dire need or distress, these things can break off very easily. If you're just shooting at the range and those kind of things, it's not a big deal. But the M&P comes stock with metal sights, metal 3-dot sights, metal front and back, and they also have a little lip on there, so if you see me talk about them before, catching your belt on them, things like that, back of your shoe, countertop, again in a dire need, these are not going to break on you, versus these plastic sights that Glock has been coming out with for years. I know they're easy to replace. A lot of people like changing out the sights on the Glock, but the problem is, when you're talking about the price point, Glock's going to be more expensive than the M&P right off the bat. Next thing you're going to say is, why do I got to replace the sights with metal sights? I don't know. Anyway, that's the plus one, the one I would have forgotten that everybody would have mentioned in the comments, but that's probably the most important one out of all these. So thanks for watching. If you have any comments or other items that you think are better on the M&P, please put them down below. Please like and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. Until we see you again, happy shooting.